What is going on, everyone? Badger here. Make sure to like and sub, and let's get into this. And while this may not be a surprise to anyone actually paying attention to either Disney and the actual numbers for the Star Wars movies, and by extension, the Disney Plus TV shows, this isn't surprising. But the fact that it's Forbes sort of came out of nowhere. Also, I saw Star Wars Theory doing like a live stream on this breaking news, but Disney Star Wars box office profits have failed to cover the cost of buying Lucasfilm. And Disney, who has had the franchise for over a decade, they've done nothing except divide the fan base, destroy the legacy characters, and fail at actually making Star Wars. Box office profits generated by Disney Star Wars movies have fallen 2.8 billion, short of covering the media giant's purchase of the sci-fi saga's creator, Lucasfilm, according to an analysis or an analyst of recently filed financial statements. Disney bought Lucasfilm for $4 billion in 2012 and soon gave the green light to a new trilogy of Star Wars movies, and well, I'll talk about that in a second. A new trilogy of Star Wars movies, which teamed up rising stars Daisy Ridley and John Boyega with Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and the late Carrie Fisher, who headlined the original movies more than 30 years ago. And of course, they didn't even put them together in a scene. Legendarily, that's how you know you're in the wrong timeline, is you simply ask if there was a sequel movie of Star Wars, and they say yes. Then you ask, were Han, Luke, and Leia in a scene together? If they say yes, of course they were, then you're in a good timeline. If they say no, they never actually shared a scene together, then you know you're in a bad timeline, and you and Doc need to jump into the correct timeline. The stars aligned when The Force Awakens, first film in the new series, was released in 2015. According to industry analyst Box Office Mojo, it grossed a staggering $2.1 billion, causing Disney to commission 2 spin-off movies as well as the 2 sequels that were already planned. However, as the series continued, there was a disturbance in the Force due to an over-reliance on computer-generated effects and the lack of gritty, quirky characters who, fuck, that was not the reason for it. It was because you alienated, you didn't even put the legacy characters, you ignored all the established canon, all the characters that we had come to know and love. You ruined all of them. You made a Mary Sue, you made an unlikable character. Gritty. Okay, fine. Sorry. This is the, I guess this is the accepted version of why it didn't work out instead of the real one. Kathleen Kennedy and all her decisions. In 2019, The Rise of Skywalker, the 3rd installment in the new trilogy, hauled in around half as much as the box office as The Force Awakens and pissed off everyone else that was remaining. So you already pissed off all the OT and prequel fans, and then you sort of had the new Disney fans and the Reylos. But then in the Rise of Skywalker, you pissed off the Reylos, so you have no one left at that point. So the 3rd installment in the new trilogy hauled in around half as much in the box office of The Force Awakens, though the series soon had a renaissance. Not really. Just a few weeks before the first case of COVID-19 was discovered in December 2019, Disney debuted its first Star Wars streaming series, The Mandalorian. And sure, I guess we can call that a renaissance, which definitely ended at the end of season 2 when Luke came back, only for them to immediately erase all of that in the Boba Fett TV show. It was an instant success thanks to the unlikely pairing of its protagonists. The series is named after a gruff, armor-clad bounty hunter played by beta film himbo Pedro Pascal, who is tasked with tracking down the family of a pointy-eared green alien called Grogu. Photos of the cute character went viral because of its resemblance to, Baby Yoda. The timing couldn't have been better, as it thrust The Mandalorian into the spotlight just as the world went into lockdown. Viewers were stuck indoors, and this is what happened with most of the streaming boom, bubble, whatever, is that they thought this was going to last forever with people stuck watching content endlessly. Viewers were stuck indoors for the majority of the following year, leading to a surge in subscriptions to the Disney Plus streaming platform, more like it. And let's not forget, they also bundled it with, if you had Verizon, and they were just giving it away, all padding their subscription numbers. The Mandalorian was watched more than any other show, and according to Nielsen, it racked up 5.4 billion minutes of viewing time during its 7-week run, peaking at 1.2 billion during the week its finale aired. It didn't just appeal to fans, but critics too. audiences awarded The Mandalorian a 92% rating on, this is before season 3, a 92% rating on review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, whilst critics went even further with a score of 93. In fact, the industry liked it so much that it was nominated for 6 Primetime Awards and 42 Primetime Creative Arts Emmy Awards, winning in 15 categories. Unsurprisingly, it was renewed for 2 further seasons and even spawned its own spin-off series, The Book of Boba Fett, which was a wet fart, a piece in the wind. Horrible. That even its star, Tamura Morrison, was like, yeah, sorry, this ain't the one. Sorry about that. The only reason that a 4th season of The Mandalorian hasn't gone into production is that a movie is based on its 2 stars is due to be released in 2016. That's right. It doesn't stop there. The show's success spurred the development of, I noticed they sort of mentioned Han Solo that lost money, but guess what? They've all lost money. The show's success spurred the development of a suite of new Star Wars productions. Since its debut, 3 other streaming shows have been released and 3 more movies are in development, in addition to The Mandalorian and Grogu. The declining, and Kenobi failed and really broke people. Ahsoka sort of half failed and really broke people, and Andor. A lot of people liked it. Most people thought it was boring. And even if they liked it, they acknowledged that it was a good story, but it was not the best Star Wars, missing many of the things that make Star Wars watchable. The declining interest, and trust me, the comments are already filled with Star Wars is dead. Why are you talking about this? So the declining interest in Disney's initial trilogy of movies seems like a distant memory, and the mouse has made the most of it. Last month, Disney, this is, by the way, I guess this article from Forbes doesn't know that their Ahsoka trailer, the Acolyte trailer got ratioed to, like, I think it stopped around 800,000 downvotes. And the Star Wars Outlaw video game just got ratioed. So the decline of Disney's movies and games and all of Star Wars is peak right now. There's nothing for them to take advantage of. Last month, Disney released a 67-page presentation singing the praises of its chief executive, Bob Iger, in a bid to convince stockholders to side with him in a battle with activist investors. And if you've been watching WDW Pro or Valiant Renegade, you know that presentation was a bunch of sing-song bullshit. None of that was actually true, as we're seeing here. They lie. They should have lied about their profits. One of its key boasts was about the supposedly spellbinding return on investment generated by the franchise that Disney acquired under Iger. The presentation gives the impression that Disney Star Wars trilogy generated 2.9 times return on the purchase of Lucasfilm, as that figure is presented next to a timeline of key events in the production company's history. They include the release of the Disney movies and its acquisition of Lucasfilm, which is the only milestone marked with a star. According to this impression, adding to this impression is the fact that at the other end of the timeline is the Star Wars logo and a photo of the Mandalorian with his little green friend. However, buried in the fine print is the revelation that the purchase price of Lucasfilm isn't included in the original ROI, or return of investment, calculation. Instead, it is purely based on the box office performance of Disney's Star Wars trilogy, its 2 spin-off movies, merchandise, DVD, and Blu-ray sales. As revealed, the methodology is questionable, as Disney based the ROI on the revenue generated by the movies, merchandise, DVDs, and Blu-rays, rather than the profit they made, as it should have done. Using the revenue rather than the profit artificially inflates the result, as it doesn't factor in the cost that Disney had to pay out. And this is what I was talking about when WDW Pro and Valiant Renegade have shown many, many times that Disney does this type of shady shit. They straight up lie. Obfuscate, whatever term you want to use. Even this wasn't enough for the media giant, so it also forecast the revenue that is expected the Star Wars movies, merchandise, DVDs, and Blu-rays to generate over a 10-year period, and base that calculation on that too. In other words, Disney hasn't actually received the revenue that it used to calculate the return on its event. In other news, they lied. They lied. In summary, despite seeming to do so, Disney's presentation doesn't actually reveal whether its Star Wars movies have covered the cost of its purchase of Lucasfilm. There may be good reason for this. Let's see. Analysis of more than 800 pages of company filings has revealed that the cost of making Disney's 5 Star Wars movies hit a total of $2.1 billion. peaking at $567.3 million on The Force Awakens. However, that is just the start. And by the way, $567 million for, like, that better include budget and advertising. And even then, holy shit, that's a lot. Mindful of this blockbuster budget, Disney devised an ingenious way to make money back on the movie. Instead of shooting it in the United States, it chose Pinewood Studios in the United Kingdom, where the original trilogy of films was made. This enabled it to benefit from the UK government's audiovisual expenditure credit, which gives studios a cash reimbursement of up to 25.5% of the money they spend in the UK, provided that it represents at least 10% of the film's total costs. At the start of this year, the UK government slightly raised the reimbursement ceiling from 25% in the face of competition from other countries which are offering similar schemes. It has helped to make the UK a dream ticket for movie makers, and according to the British Film Institute, foreign studios contributed around 77% of the 1.8 billion spent on making films. I believe this goes for TV shows too, because we saw The Rings of Power going from New Zealand back to England. With so much at stake at Disney, Disney didn't take any chances and got endorsement from the UK government right from the start. In 2014, Treasury Secretary George Osborne proudly announced that Pinewood would not just be home to The Force Awakens, but also its 2 sequels. This would mean more jobs and more investment. It is great news for people working at Pinewood Studios, from the set designers to the carpenters. The production also had an impact farther afield. Sets featuring the iconic Millennium Falcon and X-Wing spaceships were built at a Royal Air Force Base about 55 miles west of London, whilst the mountainous Lake District region in the north of England was the setting for the planet Takodana, hiding place of the sword-like lightsaber. It's a fucking lightsaber belonging to Luke Skywalker. Remember, a good question for another day. Using local staff wasn't the only catch that came with the general fiscal incentives. Movie budgets are usually a closely guarded secret, as studios tend to absorb the cost of individual pictures in their overall expenses and don't itemize how much they spend on each other. However, the cost of the movies made in the UK are consolidated in single companies, which file annual financial statements showing the cash reimbursement, headcount, salaries, total expenses, and more. The production companies usually have code names so that they don't raise attention when filing for permits to shoot off-site. The Disney subsidiary behind The Force Awakens is named Foodles Production, after the cafe next to the San Rafael, California headquarters of Kerner Optical, the original practical effects division of Lucasfilm's ILM. A condition of receiving the cash reimbursement is that the companies must be responsible for everything from pre-production to delivery of the movie and paying for services related to its finished film. It is one of the reasons why Foodles is still booking costs on its financial statements more than 8 years after The Force Awakens was released. Another reason is that the companies often file the financial statements around a year after the period they cover. This is why the latest results for Foodles were filed in December 2023 and are for the year ending in December 2022. During that period, the company spent $3.5 million, bringing the total budget for The Force Awakens to a massive $567.3 million. Surprisingly, this isn't more than Disney expected, as the financial statements noted that at the end of the year, the estimated total cost was within budget. Salaries alone came to a total of $22.7 million, with staff numbers peaking at 258, without even including freelancers. So this is just a bloated production all along. Second biggest one was the one for the Rise of Skywalker, which cost $542 million. The other end of the spectrum are the 2 Star Wars spin-offs, Rogue One and, of course, Solo less money. Several of the Star Wars streaming services were also made, the series rather, in the UK. But unlike the movies, their profit cannot be calculated. And this is because Disney Plus subscribers pay a single fee, which grants them access to all of it. And then, like I mentioned, a lot of people had their memberships given to them, essentially, with pooling together, I was going to say. In 2017, the sequel to The Last Jedi had a multiple of 1.1 times as in the 2016 spinoff. However, as the graph below shows, its net profit in dollar terms was half as much as the amount made by Force Awakens. So all in all, they have lost money from anything they've done with actually Disney Star Wars. Disney spent a total of $298.7 million making Rogue One, which was a tremendous gamble. And I would argue the only reason anyone liked that movie is because Vader shows up at the end. The final cost was higher than the agreed budget. And then, of course, we've gone over Solo losing money a bunch. So this I've probably taken longer than I could have, but this is Schadenfreude. This is pure receipts and Schadenfreude, that they have lied for years that it's profitable when it has never been. Yeah, and likewise, the calculation doesn't include the results of other Lucasfilm franchises, as they recently did reveal Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny lost money, lost $134.2 million on that last one. And of course, Willow did so horrible. They canceled it. They removed it from the series. Star Wars movies are the jewel of the Lucasfilm crown and generate the lion's share of the revenue, which is, of course, why Disney highlighted them in the timeline in its presentation. With several Star Wars movies in the pipeline, Disney still has a chance to get its money back. Yeah, right. No, it doesn't. They're so dead. The films have rediscovered the magic formula to appeal to fans, but aren't yet affordable. She spent a whole article showing that they didn't make money and then says that they rediscovered the magic formula. No, they didn't. The first one was nostalgia bait only, and then you can see that just gets halved and halved and halved. Yeah, thank you, Caroline, for the receipts, but my darling, you need to read your own work. Nope. Disney, once again, Star Wars box office profits failed to cover the cost of buying Lucasfilm, despite what they said. Let me know what you think of this one. Make sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you. And, well, hi, Bob.
Well, bye.